Thank you for joining us on our Family First Life Tri-State Serve the People podcast. We appreciate you tuning in, spending your time to develop and grow with us. Follow us, please, on all our social media platforms at Family First Life Tri-State or FFL Tri-State. We love you. Keep listening, and I hope this information is serving you across the country. All right, everybody. Fresh off of annual convention, back at you. Training Day podcast coming to you live. I got my man, Eric Hemati, and he is just crushing it. Board member at FFL and doing his thing, and he's built the business really, really fast. And I wanted to get him on, and he's obviously been recognized by the company at the annual convention. I want to go over that, but you know, some of the stuff he's done and orchestrated and constructed from a business standpoint for us is, I know there's a lot in that brain, and we've never had him as a guest on our podcast, and I was really excited about getting him on, and we wanted to not only bring the heat from annual convention, but also go inside, you know, that brain and go inside his business structure so he can teach and train and help some people kind of get to their next level. So I got my man, Eric. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. It's inside the brain of Hemati. I've never done one of these, so we'll just it might be a dark place.
Dude, I hear legendary things about that brain, so I'm excited myself. But also, I got to see you speak this weekend, and man, you crushed it. You did an amazing job. I was sitting next to my wife, and I was like, that's Eric Hemati. I said, he's going to be on our podcast this week. She goes, it's going to be a great podcast because he's a great communicator. Like, she was listening to your presentation and heard the way you were communicating, and she said it's going to be a great podcast. And I've obviously agreed, but I think it's pretty interesting how in a short segment, you know, you can get, you know, you can have that effect on people. So thank you for that. But
well, thank you, Mrs. Mead.
Well, listen,
that's a
man,
great endorsement.
Let's jump into it, man. Let's talk about this annual convention, man. This was obviously a different animal. You were able to attend the year before, correct?
Yep, that's right.
What city were you in?
Yeah, so last year, you know, we had the seven cities tour or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was in Dallas. Yep, I was in Dallas. And it was great. I mean, the company that, you know, in my experience, I've been to a lot of different conventions, and you have maybe several hundred people, sometimes a couple thousand if it's a really big event, you know. And so last year felt very comfortable from that standpoint, because I think, you know, I don't know how many people we had, but you know, 1,500 people or 2,000 people or so in Dallas. And it was awesome. And I left completely like fired up, and we had a great year, but it was nothing like this year's convention. Cause I mean, we had, I don't know what the final, do you know what the final head count was? Whatever it was definitely north of 10,000 people. I mean, it was crazy.
Correct.
Yep. And in a baseball stadium, you know, like, so, I mean, I've been to conventions and convention centers and hotels.
Right.
I've been to a lot of different things. I have never been to a convention in a sports stadium. It was amazing. I
agree. I've been to conventions. Convention center is about as big as it has gotten for me. Yeah. But to be in a baseball stadium was pretty awesome, dude. That was definitely awesome. And it was seamless and it was great. What was some of the top feedback that you received from the convention from people that you talked to?
From the agents in terms of like what they learned?
Mm-hmm.
I think I mean, so many different things. You know, I listen to so many stories, and you know, I was amazed how many people had stories of challenges even getting to convention, you know, where they're like, man, you know, I was on the fence about coming, and I you know, money was a factor. My budget was a factor. Like, shouldn't I, maybe I'd be a bigger contribution to my business to just maybe stay working and keep working and write some more policies, you know? Right. But I chose to take the time and come down here, and oh my God, I'm so glad I did. Like, you know, and I heard feedback from people saying, you know, this one girl in particular I'm thinking of, that somebody had told her, don't go. You know, it was some other agent had told her, no, you don't want to go to that because, you know, it's all rah, and they're trying to hype you up. And like, all you need to do is stay focused on work. You're not going to learn anything there. They're just going to hype you up. And she was like, well, I'm going to go anyway. And so she goes, oh man, I'm so glad I ignored that person, you know? And I think that's, I think that's one of the big, you know, takeaways of life, if you will, that we forget, is that man, guard your ears, like the
No
stuff that
doubt.
goes into your brain, your ears and your eyes, can really pollute the territory up there, And
It's
so,
true.
and be smart enough to not just be impacted by the very last person that talked to you. So many people are like that, like somebody has a decision to make and they get all this feedback, and it's usually like one of the very last person that talked to them, they go do that thing, right? Because the last person told them what they wanted to hear. So then, okay, I don't need to look anymore. I heard what I want to hear. I go do that, right? Instead, just like, man, learn to recognize like what's good input and what's not, and have the courage to reject what's not. One thing that's great about convention, I had on my team, I had there a professional speaker. So is one of the guys on my team has a history of professional speaking, has given many talks in front of thousands of people, and more importantly, has written scripted other professional speakers' speeches. Right, like he helps them craft the speech that like will deliver the intention. Right, and he said, it was so refreshing because nobody did that. because like there's a science on how to manipulate people from stage, and he goes, and nobody used any of that stuff because it was clearly they didn't know any of it. He goes, they just got up there and shared from their heart, and he goes, that's what he was really sincere about it. It wasn't like, how some people come into something and they're kind of evaluating everything and kind of, that maybe they have a checklist. Okay, does it have that? Doesn't it have this? Okay, so I'm going to give that a 87% or whatever. He came in like that, like analytical, right? But by the middle of the second day, the analytics were gone and it was just all heart. It was like, what am I listening to? And who can I absorb some of the spirit from that person, some of the heart from that person? It more than just knowledge or tactics, but man, if my heart was different, wouldn't all my tactics come out differently? And for him, he was just like, I'm fine. I could not be happier. He goes, I came in here knowing like I'm part of this company. Like I'm working on this platform, but I'm not part of the company. Like I'm not going to be a signer upper, And when he came out, he was like, dude, you tattoo FFL on my chest. Like I'm in,
That's crazy.
In fact, there's a group that I had brought on. I don't know if you saw the picture on social media, but there's a team that I have down in Florida called Archangel. They came over from another company, and they were very much like when they first came on, we're going to build our own brand. We're going to use your products for this. We're going to use Medicare products for these people, health insurance for these people. We're going to build our own agency. So we don't want to get on any conference calls or have this FFL because we have our own thing and it's special. And I'm like, and my philosophy would be different, but at the end of the day, hey, you're an entrepreneur. I respect you. Go do what you do. You.
Right.
I told him, I said, dude, you get as much or as little from us as you want. And so maybe 4 months in, they hadn't really done as much as they wanted to. They went down to Boca, met Sean, spent some time in that office, and they were energized. They're like, okay, we like this FFL thing. This is really cool. The culture, right? Well, anyway, they came to convention, and these guys, I have a picture of them with their shirts up, and they had put FFL on 4 guys, FFL and an exclamation point on the 4th guy.
I did see that.
Shirts open.
I did see that.
And you did. Yeah, those are. And it was so ironic because these are not people that would like get fired up about a team other than what they had created, but because of the spirit and the intention of everybody, that's been put forward by the company. They're like, dude, I can get on board with that because that's just about helping people. Yeah.
That's the best. That's great, man. And that did shine through, serving families, helping people. That shined through. And guess what, dude? That's a generational message. That has lasting effects, We, don't get me wrong. We did the other thing for so long. It was almost hard to imagine not doing it. But the reality is when you look at advertising and commercials and you look at big companies, they lead with, words like service, and words like, you look at integrity, they lead with this, so we're on the right track. Seeing that, obviously you have aspirations of building this pretty big, becoming an integrity partner, all those things. What was a big takeaway for you?
Yeah, the big takeaway for me is, I had a chance to talk to one of the integrity guys that happened to be there, and we're just talking about being an integrity partner and what that looks like, and I know some of your people watching or would want to hit that level, and And it just occurred to me, like the way that they structure, the way an integrity partner is different than, say, me right now, is in my agency, I have a team and I am responsible for that team. Those are my people, and I get paid based on that team, right? What we're generating, what I do and what my team does. And so for me to come on here and help your team, like that's not going to benefit me in any way whatsoever, other than treasure in heaven, which obviously is more important anyway, right? But monetarily speaking, there's no immediate return on my investment of time right this second, right here, right? The way there is for you, because as an integrity partner for yourself, you do benefit from the whole, because you no longer own 100% of your company. You own 1% or half or whatever of a much bigger thing.
Oh, yeah.
And, and so to me, it was kind of this, like, I knew that intellectually, but what leaked into my heart from that was that, instead of thinking, hey, when I hit this level, it'll be great because I'll be able to think like this. Well, instead, why not just start thinking that way right now? Like, act as if that's where you're at. And when you live that way and you give that, I try to give that way anyway, but it's an extra level to think, no, like, imagine that you're actually, like, that you are being paid to do that. That in fact, that's not just your mission, your philosophy, that's your responsibility, is to give and to serve and elevate everyone that comes into your realm, because you do benefit from that. And then eventually, because that attitude is what's required over there anyway, like, well, you don't have to wait to think like that. You can think like that right now.
No doubt.
And I think it translates down to, like, people, you have people watching this that are wanting to hit sales manager, they're wanting to get their logo, that are wanting to hit VP, or that may be thinking, oh, it's going to be great when this happens, because then I'll be getting my bonus. And man, when I'm bonusing, man, that'll enable me to think like this and do these things. Why not just do those things now? So
that's awesome, man. That makes a lot of sense. But thing, I don't know how much content, you digested this weekend, but that little nugget, but it helps the mind so much. And it's like, what if you didn't go, or what if you decided to skip out on that section?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like, hey, I don't feel like doing the afternoon session. Okay. If someone's going to say something that's going to change your business or change your mind or shift it somewhere, and that's important. He's just what Eric said. And Eric, he's doing some pretty awesome things in this company. So for him to say this, the one thing from this one guy who, it's amazing to see. So yeah, another record, convention in the books, just phenomenal. But I want to get more into FFL Tribe. Kind of, maybe not everyone listening, our audience, knows your story, your backdrop. You can get into some of that stuff, like, coming into FFL. What did you see? And then, because you built it pretty fast with a high level of business acumen. So I want to know kind of what you saw, the landscape, and how you started building your organization. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So I was not new to the business. So for me, like, the eyeballs that I used to look at it may be different than many people's eyeballs. So I had 17 years of insurance experience. I'd been with multiple different companies for long periods of time. And I was coming over from a company that I had been there for 7 years. And actually I started at that company for this period of time at the same time that Sean was starting, and Sean and you were starting FFL. And I remember thinking to myself after I discovered you guys, I was like, man, like what would my last 7 years have been like if I had just, been part of that, And I mentioned that to Sean, like one of the first or second times we hung out. He goes, "Oh, you would have hated it." He goes, "You did it the right way. Trust me. Like, wait until we have everything figured out and covered." But, he goes, like all of us. He goes, we start, you had one insurance company, couldn't get leads everywhere. It's completely trying to figure out comp, and it's just a disaster. He goes, but now that we've been through all that hard stuff, yeah, by all means, come over here and benefit from all the stuff that we had to go through.
Nice.
So for me, I had a organization of want to say like maybe 25, 26 writing agents every month. And we would help, around 2,000 families a year where I came from. And, and that was pretty big. Like you can look around. I was on the phone today with a guy who's thinking about coming over here, and I asked him, how many families they typically help, in a given month. And he said, oh, around 100, 150 families a month. That's a lot of families protected in the course of a year, like in the regular world,
Sure.
By that, I mean the non FFL world, right? That's a lot. And I had my own agency, it was a standalone business. So I ran my own profit and loss sheet. I had my own staff. I had my own, in fact, this is the same office that I used when I was, had my previous platform. And so I had a lot of, I've been around the block, I've seen a lot of things, and so what stood out to me about Family First, when I first saw it, I walked into, there's a conference center, literally like 10 blocks from my office here. And I saw on Facebook, they were having a free insurance agent training. So like, hey, in Austin, free insurance agent training. If you're an agency or a team builder and you're in the insurance business, come over, we're doing free training. And so I'm like, who's doing this? So I would click on it, and it's some Family First Life, never heard of them. Okay. And so it was on Eric Anthony's Facebook page. So I sent him a direct message. And I said, hey, I saw your training. I'd like to come over. I said, just up. He was like, yeah, come on. I'm like, well, just to be upfront with you, like I own an agency. I'm not recruitable. I'm coming over basically to steal some ideas if I can. And he's like, yeah, dude, whatever. Yeah, just come on over, get whatever you get.
I love that.
Nobody's going to bother you. It'd be fine. So great.
We don't fear nothing, brother. We'd love you to come and have lunch too. We're going to have lunch there, and it's going to be catered, and just bring some people with you and just enjoy food free on us with our information.
Right. And learn something, and yeah, he wasn't afraid of competition because you can't compete. You can't compete with, Anyway, so
it's great, dude.
So I roll in here, like I've got my, agency. I got my suit on. I got my iPad, my tablet. I come in there, strolling in this place, sit in the back of the room, because I'm not going to be talking to anybody. I'm just going to be, and I'd start taking some notes. And I'm like, man, this is pretty good training. They're talking about, leads and how to set appointments and how you do your in-home and how to help people make decisions quickly and all that kind of stuff. And it's excellent. So I'm like, and I'm texting a buddy of mine. I'm like, oh man, this is really good stuff. I said, we're going to come back, put some of this on our website. It's going to really help our guys. And then at some point, I think it was like, maybe I'd been there for a couple hours. They're like, okay, let's talk about, the FFL structure and everything, how we do things over here. And they pull out this comp plan. And at the time, the comp plan started at 80% and went up to 140% comp. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at it like, wait, what now? What? And so they start talking.
That's great, dude.
The irony of it is like, so the company that I was at, like we started our agents at 30%, and we had no leads. We went door to door, literally door to door in neighborhoods or business to business, but selling our insurance, 30% commission, no leads, only referrals. Wow, and you'd leave your house in the morning and go, you had no, just start on this block and let's see who we meet. Right. Mm-hmm. And after years of being in the business and building teams and doing, helping thousands, tens of thousands of families personally, plus my team, I'd finally worked my way up to an 80% comp. Like that's what I had. And I was one of maybe 30 people in the country that had that comp. And I was direct to the company, all this. I got invited to all these meetings because, it was top comp, and I'm walking in here. I'm like, you guys are going to like give the Uber driver that just brought me over here, you recruit him, you give him my comp, nothing against Uber drivers, but I'm like, I was literally so mad, Mark. Like I was mad, like, and then afterwards, I just left. I was frustrated, mad. And then, cause I was thinking about, man, that's unfair. That was the first thing. That's not fair. They should have to work for that. But then I started thinking, then I was mad for another reason. Cause I started doing some math. Right. And I'm like, man, if I had that comp over there, I mean, shoot, our business was doing, like I said, to help about 150, 200 families a month. So I could do the math on the comp sheet. Sure. I was like, okay, so my comp wouldn't be 80%. It would be higher. It'd be like here, even if they just gave me credit for or if I built what I have on that system. Mm-hmm. And, but then I started thinking about what difference that would make for my agents. It wasn't that was the that was the game changer where I had to really take it seriously. Cause it was like, like for me, okay, I'm comfortable here. I've got 80% already. I've already won, I don't need all that. I'm doing very well with the 80 that I have. And I know all these people, like what I could justify it for me even. Right. But I was like, man, what would it mean for Sue if instead of her being at a 42%, if I could put her on 100, like what would that mean for her? How would that change her life? What would that do? Right. And anyway, so it became impossible to ignore after a bit. So when I called Andrew to come over to just talk about it for real, and I was telling him, kind of like, all right, well, let me just tell you who I am so you know who you're talking to. And I'd tell him like, here's what we've done. Here's our track record, just so like I'm not some, guy off the street. Right. And Andrew's like, oh man, that's awesome. It sounds like you've had a great career. He goes, well, just to give you some scale about what we're doing. He's like, you're helping 2,000 families a year over there. We're helping 2,000 families a month just in my organization. Forget the company, like just 2,000 a month in my organization. And Andrew, which I don't care who you are. That's impressive. So, and Andrew, here I am at the time. I was, I was 40. I was about to be 45. I was 44. It was right before my 45th birthday. And Andrew goes, oh, yeah, I'm 30 years old. I was bagging groceries literally 10 years ago, and came right into the business. And here I am, and I just, but it was cool. Cause it's like, I can, even though there's like a 15-year age difference between me and Andrew, for example, I was like, dude, I can learn something from this guy, know something I don't, because his results speak for themselves. Right? I mean, that's the book says, right, the tree because of the fruit that it bears, right? So just check out the fruit. And this is what I tell people that are just looking at our business. It's like, look, oh, well, I think our comp is better because of this, or we have this clause over here. We have this system of quoting system is better than yours, or whatever. I'm like, okay, but look at the fruit, like, right? Like, look at what the agents are producing. Look at the families that are helped. Look at this, look at the heart of the different people involved, And so I came on board, and very quickly, the first thing that I learned that was hard for me to digest was to give away as much comp as you can. So like the where I came from, the model was, I want my people to raise their comp, but every time I raise their comp, it lowers my comp. So, right. So there's a little bit of a resistance there, right? Like I don't necessarily want to raise your comp because, whatever. And because it wasn't written down, it was kind of subjective. So I could, let's wait till the middle of the year. We'll review that if we can have some improvement, but be real careful not to be too specific, so I didn't have to honor anything, right? And I don't mean that. And I don't mean that like that was a shady way of doing it. That's what you did. This
is good.
And it's good. And here it's published. It's, look, you hit this number, you get that. It's right there. Even the fine print on it says you got to hit it 2 months in a row. Well, yeah, because it's a business, right? You don't just write an annuity and get hired. You got to have a business that functions that way. Sure. But that's it. That's the fine print. There's no like must have 7 legs, must have so many VPs under this level before you. None of that. It's just hit the number, get the comp. And once you get it, you don't go back. That's it. Well, dude, who can't get around that? Right. So, and here, because Sean takes out of his profit, right. And profit shares to anybody who, is helping, at least 1,000 families a year. Like if you're at that level, you're helping at least 1,000 families a year, and you're going to profit share every month. And so as a result, I don't even have to, I have groups now that have been built that I no longer override at all. Like the carriers pay me no money for the business that's done. Right. But because Sean profit shares with me, I'm not sitting here like it's, I always thought it was difficult in this industry as a leader, as a manager, right? You want to help your people grow, but then there's that second piece of you that's like, well, if I help them grow too much, then it hurts me, right?
Got it, yeah.
And it just monetarily, it hurts me, right? And it's almost like your kids, right? You want to see your kids grow up and get independent, but then at the same time, you're like, but I like it that they need me, right? I do. I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. I love that they need me, right? Now my daughter is like, she can put on her own socks, she can put on her own shoes. She doesn't need my help getting dressed. No, daddy, I got it, right? And it's like, that's awesome, right? Like that's great. And it's like, oh, but I like dressing you, like that was fun, right? And now that time's over, I'll never get it back, right? Sure. And it's kind of like that in your business, right? So Sean is basically just the way he structured it, he's taken away that that natural pushback that you have. And it's just like, look, just get out of the way and let your people grow.
Nice.
And let them grow.
Strong.
And it's strong. Yeah, it is. I didn't invent it, though. I can't take credit for it. I just use it.
And that's the magic. You said a lot, man. Again, number one, very transparent, which I appreciate and always brings value. But number two, the idea that you can copycat something that's already made. It's already been created. You need to reinvent the wheel. You need credit for something. You want to put a patent on something. No, I just want to help some people and make some money and, give back. And that's what I want to do. Right. And that's what you've done, with your business. And I mean, what are some things you're doing from a recruiting standpoint, or what are some things that you implemented early and then maybe shifted recruiting wise to get the speed that you have now, or to get the speed that you have had as you were growing and still have?
Yeah. So, I had a little bit of an unfair advantage, but I'll share it with you. So I had unfair advantage in that I had been in the industry for many years. And so not the knowledge that brings, but the relationships. So I had a lot of people that I had come to know. Either they were friends of mine that worked with me in the past, or they were people that I worked with in the past that became friends that we weren't working together anymore. Right. It wasn't about like, let me bring over my team from my old company. Like, cause that's some people get hung up on that. I find this a lot. People come over from somewhere else and they're like, oh, but there's certain rule. I can't get these people over here. And I really need, dude, you're talking about, I mean, not for me. And again, we were helping 2,000 families a year. It was good business, but it was 25, 26 people that were basically on a red list. I'm not going to bring these people over because, contractually, I'm not allowed to talk to them. Right. For a period of time. But okay, that's 26 people out of like a few thousand that I happen to know or be connected to. So let me just redline those people, put them on a list. We'll get to you next year after my time ends up, and let me just work on. So the first thing I did with that, rather than spending, and by the way, everyone that's working here, you're listening to this, you have you have your phone, and in that phone if it's hard to like think through just look at who you talk to the most, right? People, a lot of times they think, oh, I need to put a campaign together. I need to put a ZipRecruiter, Indeed, whatever the thing is, so I can bring in resumes and so I can talk to people about joining my team. And all those things are great. And of course you should do that. Right. But along with that is the consideration of, okay, how much money am I going to spend? How much time is it going to take? Oh, I'm not going to be able to produce as much now. I help as many families because I have to recruit, manage this whole process. Right. And I got to interview these people. How do you balance selling? I hear that all the time. And it's like, look, if you're just starting to get going, the number one thing that you have to do is you have to feed your family. So pick a production number that makes sense and commit to it, right? Weekly. And then once you're doing that, okay, well, then the next thing is, if you're going to really recruit and build, well, you need a production number that's actually impressive to other people, right? So maybe I only need to earn X amount of dollars to pay all my bills and keep my wife off my back, right? Like, okay, as long as this is coming in, like she's good and I can do what but this is actually impressive to a lot of people that are, like that would actually be really impressive. And so I want to be performing at this level so that when my new agents come in, that I'm not force feeding them stuff. They see what I'm doing and they go, how do I get those results? And then they come to me to get the results. And that's how I get content. And so at the end of the day, content's a two-way street. People come to you to get it and then you give it out, right? If I'm constantly pushing stuff on people that don't want to hear it or not impressed with you, who are you? Why do I have this? Why do I have to listen to what you say, right? I don't want to do that. Like, come to me instead. Like, how do I get you to come to me? I have impressive results, right? Yeah. So number one, you have to produce at a certain level that is going to make people want to follow you. And the second thing is just go after, when you build a business, I want the people that are closest to me or direct to me to be like people that I love and trust. And I want to see, we're going to get wealthy together. Right. And so why am I going to save my best people for later? Because a lot of people do that. They're like, oh, well, I'm going to approach them later, after I'm doing really well, because then I can approach. No, like, you want to build with those people. Like Dave Wichert, I work with Dave. He told me, like, dude, if I could, it would be my dream to build a business with you. Right. So he called me and said, dude, it would be my dream to build a business with you. We would kill it and come and do this with me. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, he's like, there wasn't, he goes, was there a B team? I mean, yeah, we would develop a B team if we needed to, but we didn't need to because I was going to we were going to work together.
Nice.
Right. And so that's the first thing is look at who you love and who you want to work with and who you trust and who, and you have names popping up right now in your head that you're thinking of. And that name that you're kind of pushing down saying, oh, not that person. They're too tough or I could get, that's the one you need to talk to. Right. And if you don't know how to, like, ask Mark, ask me, you can call me, my number, like somebody will help you. Right. But the one thing you can do is target, right? Put a list together. These are the people I want to work with. Right. And it's not about come and work with me because it's about them. It's about helping them better their situation. So I did. So when I first started, going back to that, I my first month, I recruited, if you will, 63 people. Right. And they were all personal connections. They were, I didn't put any ads, I didn't put any resumes. It was just, but again, I had an unfair advantage.
Yes.
I made a list.
It's still, wow.
I made a list. I had 250 people on it. Right.
Nice.
And out of the 250, I talked to every single one of them and we got 63 of them.
That's awesome.
And then from there, it's like, okay, well, once you've done that, you can just teach so now every single one of those 63 people, I told them the same thing. Like, look, here's what I would do. And we made a list and we went and got those people. Right. But the thing about this business is it's not about how do I get a bunch of people. Right. So what I figured out, I mean, what I knew already, but like out of those 63 people, right. Only a certain number of them became productive in a short amount of time. Right. Sure. The rest of them took a little bit longer. And so it's, how do I help you get productive quickly? And then how do I help you like actually help families? Cause that's it's not about recruiting a bunch of people. It's about working with people that are serious about helping families. Cause if I'm serious about helping families, there's money there. Oh, no. If you're serious about helping families, there's money there. Mm-hmm. If you're just excited about the dream, there's no money there. That's a lot of work for nothing.
Totally agree. Makes sense, man. So yeah, I mean that still works, by the way. Make a list of people that you know. That still works. I've done that for years and years and years and years and years. And make a list of the people that you know. And the 2 out of 63, you're looking for the most productive and the ones who actually potentially want to lead. But those other, let's call it 200 people that got a phone call, those calls, I'm 100% sure you've hired some of those people since then.
Several of those people are now on the team. People that were like, "Nah, I'm not doing it." Right. So and this brings me to the second strategy that I try to give out to everybody is, every day you're going to go talk to people. That's how we earn money here, right? So you're going to go talk to people. So you're going to talk to them on the phone, set appointments, or you're going to talk to them on the phone and close deals, however it is that you do things, but you starts on the phone, right? And then you meet with people. Well, when you're talking to people about their insurance, which, everybody on here is hopefully covering families. So when you get done, you want to ask for referrals, right? And this is something that I don't know why we don't do more training on it, Mark, but it just boggles my mind. Referrals are the best part of this business, right? Leads will keep you stocked and busy for the rest of your life. You can buy them and you never have to ask for another referral. So some agents, I call them lead jockeys, just buy leads and go serve those people. But when you start getting referrals, really start helping families, because people will refer you to their brothers or sisters or cousins or hairdressers or pastors or their Sunday school teachers or whatever, right? And that's when you really you start serving the community in a different way. It feels different to you, right? Mm-hmm. It really does. And when it starts to mix in. And so what we learned, and this is something I've learned like in the past before I came here, is the people that you're meeting with are the best source also of new agents to work with. And so the key thing, I was talking to an agent at conventions, so I'll share this with you because it didn't occur to me. So funny. I've been doing this for so long. It didn't occur to me why some people are reluctant to ask for referrals and why they don't do this. And this agent just kind of like, they were super transparent. They're like, well, I just feel like, I sat down with this family and I made money off of them. And now I'm asking them, hey, could you know anybody else that you can send me to so I can make some more money? And I'm like, well, no wonder that feels awkward. Yeah. It sounds like a terrible thing to ask, right? Like, I wouldn't want to ask that question either. It's horrible. You're right. In fact, if that's what's in your head. You should not be asking for referrals. You should just go talk to new people that don't know you.
More money.
By all means, right? So, but it's funny because how many times, Mark? I want you to think about this. How many times do you think agents of ours, just not knowing any better, sit down at the end of their presentation and say, "Hey, thank you so much for your business." It's like it's the worst thing you can say. The person that says thank you in any situation, right? Let's say you and I are eating lunch and you buy lunch, right? Mm-hmm. And I say, thank you, Mark, for buying lunch, right? Mm-hmm. The person saying thank you is the one who just got served, right? My situation was improved by you buying my lunch, so I'm going to thank you for it, right? So if I say thank you for your business, that is literally saying, hey, thank you for the commission. Because that's what it is. Right. That's how your situation got better because your family got covered. My situation got better because I earned a commission. So if I say thank you for your business, that's exactly what I'm thinking at a subconscious level. That's exactly what they're thinking, right? And I just think it's bad. I don't know where people pick it up. It's terrible. So just number one, stop saying that, and instead just ask this question. So after you wrap everything up, just say, "Hey, Mark, man, I love spending time with you, man. You and your family are just great, and you're probably one of my favorite people I met today. Do you feel like I gave you good service today?" Nice. Right? And almost every time, dude, they're going to say, "Oh, I totally did. Thank you." Almost every time, right? Do you feel like I gave you good service today? Yeah. I mean, well, is there anything you feel like I could have done better service, right? And then handle whatever that is. And then they'll say thank you, right? But you want to create a situation where they say thank you. When they say thank you, they're acknowledging that you served them, right? You made their family situation better, which is what you did. And so if my mindset is, I served your family well, and this is what I tell people. So once they say, yeah, thank you. Yeah, Eric, you did. Thank you. Awesome. Good. I just want to make sure. So just so you know, Mark, the way we met is, you filled out this lead card, and we get hundreds of these in every week. So like my staff and I are just like completely overwhelmed. But the problem with these lead cards is I don't really know like their financial situation or their health situation. I don't know anything about these people. I just know it's my responsibility to help them. Right. And so half the time, we'll sit down with people and they can't qualify for coverage. It's just not a right situation. And even though they want help, we can't help them. Right. Mm-hmm. And so what I do for all of my clients is, I'm sure there are people you're thinking about in your mind that, man, this mortgage protection was amazing. I know this person should know about it. This person should know about it. Right. Or this final expense, man, that's really a load off my mind. I bet this person should know, that person should know. If there are anybody that you think should know about these options, let me know who they are and I'll move them to the top of my list. Right. Who's the first person that pops to mind? Right. Mm-hmm. That's how you ask for referrals, because I served you and now I want to serve more people. Nice. Right. So it's the same thing with this other question. So I ask for referrals first, and then you always ask after every conversation is, hey, let me ask you one other question. I told you we get like hundreds of these requests in, literally every week, and we're kind of overwhelmed. And now I'm going to move your family to the top of my list, right? I really could use some help. Do you know anybody who, now they have to have, in order to do what I do, they have to have a ton of integrity. They got to really love people, want to help them, and they have to have, they can't be afraid of hard work. Okay. But if they have those three things, I would love to talk to them, because, man, good people are so hard to find. Do you know anybody that would enjoy maybe doing what I do, that could help me with this? Phenomenal. And if you ask that question, I mean, how many appointments do people run on a run day? Even people that aren't even running that hard are going to run 5 or 6 appointments a day. Right. And so, over a 4-day period, they're going to run, 20, 25, 30 appointments. So if they ask that question at every house, or even if they get stood up half the time and they only sit down with 10 people a week, right? They're going to find 2 or 3 people and go, you know what? Yeah, actually my cousin, my nephew, my so-and-so. And the ones that they don't think of, they'll think of later, because they'll be listening to somebody that's, not happy with their job. The vast majority of people out there, they don't like what they do. They can't stand their boss. They know they deserve to make more money, right? All these things are common things that everybody experiences. So your number one enemy, I was reading Grant Cardone years ago, and he said, your number one enemy in business, when you're in business, your number one enemy is obscurity. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows what you do. And so every chance you can, you have to be telling people what you do. That's why we say, hey, social media, buy ads, market yourself. Yes, all of that. Mm-hmm. But then how is it that we spend, half of our time in front of people, talking to them, helping them, serving them, and forget to tell them what we need, and I did a report. I have a new report that I designed. You'll like it. So I have these reports that show me, like, hey, out of all the people we brought on board our business, so many came from this source, so many came from that source, so many came from ZipRecruiter, whatever. Now I have this new report that says, because I said, I just want to find out the new producers. So we may have hired 30 people, or we may have brought on 30 people last month, but only 10 of them actually wrote business, right?
Sure.
So out of those 10, where did they come from?
Nice.
And you know where 70% of those people came from?
Where?
Friends, family, and warm market, or like what I call field recruit, meeting people out in the field, right? My barista, my Uber driver, the amazing customer service person I had at Best Buy yesterday, all those different people, right? Like, do you do this for the money or for the experience, And when they laugh at that, it's just like, well, the reason I ask is because, man, you're so phenomenal at this. You would be amazing. We have so many requests coming in for help in my business, and I could use some help with it. I don't know if you're recruitable, but would you like to talk about it? I can't talk to you about it right now, but can I get your number?
Dude,
and
that's great stuff. Dude, let's wrap with this. That's phenomenal stuff, and it makes all the sense in the world. More people should be doing this. It does make sense. You came up with a theory involving the use of a calculator, and I just want to hear it on this podcast, on this platform. And I want to hear you say it.
Yeah. So I was at a meeting in Austin, and I was giving this talk, and Trey Honeycutt was in the audience. And so, but I said, and I believe, like, if you're selling life insurance, if you're in the life insurance business in America, and if you're in that business, you're actively out there seeing clients and working in it and building a team, whatever you're doing, that eventually you're going to end up on this platform on Family First Life. Like, you're going to end up on it. And the reason I know that is not because I'm Nostradamus or something. It's because they sell calculators at every Walmart and every Walgreens in America. Like, you have one on your cell phone, just pick it up and use it. Run our comp against what you're currently helping so many families. Use these comp numbers. You currently have this many agents helping so many families. Use these comp numbers. Just run an imaginary thing, and you'll figure it out. Not hard. I can't breathe. That's so good.
That's great, man. All right, way to close this puppy down, Eric. Thank you so much for jumping on with us.
My pleasure.
Eric Hemati, board member, FFL Tribe, holding it down. What's your goal? How many families do you want to help per month by December?
Oh yeah, so we'll be helping 4,000 to 5,000 families every month by December.
That's strong. I mean, it's just amazing what you guys are doing. Congratulations on all your success, and I'm looking forward to this year for you. And thank you so much for dropping jewels for us on this podcast. People are definitely going to rewind this one, so thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right, fresh off convention, let's rock and roll. It's time to push this year into overdrive. Thank you guys. God bless. Take care.